Do your job interviews look always like that? John, we are looking for someone who is very detail-oriented. Is that you? Well, sure. If the answer is yes, then I have bad news and good news for you. The bad news is that's a so-called closed question, and also a leading question, a question where the answer is practically put in your mouth. You don't get anything useful out of these kind of questions. Okay, you could also ask an in-depth question. What exactly do you mean by detail-oriented? That's better, but it's not really useful either. And why is that? Yes, Mr. Expert, why? Interviewees will look up the answers to such questions on the internet and they just memorize them. The good news is that there is a fantastic technique that won't give you standard answers of the internet. I learned how to do this from HR expert Diana Roth. She calls that key questions, which are 3 specific questions about a certain previous behavior and its consequences. Let's stay with the example of detail orientation for the sake of this video. The first question you should ask is about the situation, the what. In what situation was the behavior expressed? In the past 12 months at your job, when have you been detail-oriented? Can you give me a specific example? There have been many situations in the past. Even very recently, several situations have come up. Stop. The important thing here is that you stop the applicant right here, because many of them, they tend to go far afield and then talk about all kinds of situations. Therefore, ask the person to really pick one specific example. So 2 months ago, there was this big development project that got out of hand. We were way behind schedule. It was then important to me that there was a project plan in place to keep track of all the things. Now we come to the second question, the procedure, the how. How did the person proceed in this situation? And how exactly did you proceed with the development project in terms of detail orientation? I made a plan in Excel. You know, we don't have any decent project management software. My boss thinks it's pointless. Boss, we need a decent project management program for our work. Nonsense, John. We have Excel. Just create the plans in Excel and then send them to the team members by email. Anyway, I really got into it and created a very detailed project plan, broken down to the individual to-dos of any team member. And then I always followed up with my colleagues on their progression to see whether they really did their job. The third question, consequence. What consequences did your behavior have? Looking back now, what was the result of your behavior? Well, if it hadn't been for me and my plan, we would not have met the deadline. Then you can ask what the boss, the colleagues or the customers thought about the result. Well, my boss wasn't enthusiastic at first. Come on, John, what's the point of making a project plan? Everything is going well. Here, we are only 3 months behind schedule. Oops. And my colleagues were also not very pleased at the beginning. John and his annoying follow-up questions. If he asks me one more time, I'll spit in his coffee every day from now on. But after some time, my colleagues were quite happy that I was so persistent and that I wrote everything down. Even my boss confirmed that to me in his very own way. Well, John, you see, everything worked out after all. Good thing I told you about the project plan, huh? You can also ask what grade the person would give him or herself for their approach. I think I would give myself a B. I don't mind to brag, but it wouldn't have gone down so well without my Excel project plan. Now you can ask, what would have to happen next time for you to give yourself an A? Very few people give themselves the best grade, and that's why you can usually always ask that kind of question. Well, I would have needed more time to wrap it up. You can then ask, what was the biggest lesson you learned from this project in relation to detail orientation? I've learned that even if I annoy people with my focus on details, it's very important that I stay persistent and follow up with them. Yes, it's not nice to get on your colleagues' nerves with it. John, it's enough! Leave me alone! Get out of my office! But but it's important. The nice thing about this technique is that you can get so much more out of this short conversation than just one information. You can tick several things off your list of requirements. For instance, John is very assertive and has a healthy sense of self-confidence. Also, he apparently keeps a cool head even under time pressure, and he does not shy away from annoying his colleagues until the task has been completed. Isn't that much better than when the applicant comes up with standard answers? Actually, yes, it is. So that was a lot of information for you to process, right? That's why I have made a checklist for you to summarize all of the things we talked about in this video. It's called Key Questions for Job Interviews. You can find the download link in the first comment and in the description down below. Don't miss out on that. Thank you for watching and see you soon.